All right. So to introduce our topic today, we're going to go through, of course, digital security in an age of scams, spam, and phishing attempts. Again, this is part of the digital navigation part through the Whitman County Library System, and we are very excited to be hosting and walking through this really important topic today. Say this is us. So this is Adam, who has introduced himself, and also he is the marketing technologist at Pullman Marketing. So we have been brought on board to help with this program, and I am the account management, digital media, and pay-per-click engineer at Pullman Marketing. I have a long title because I talk a lot, and that's kind of where we're at, probably, we assume. So our heart for today is, as we've kind of gone through, especially us in particular, this evolution through technology, of it being loosely incorporated and you knew about it, up to like it is every day. This stuff is here and in your face. I know on a professional level, I have to interface with clients and friends all the time. They get targeted by whether it's emails, phone calls, or new and improved ways to scam people on a regular basis. I see it all the time, constantly. What I'd say despise about the art of the scam is how it is specifically tailored to take advantage of our good intentions, our honesty, and our willingness to be like, well, of course I'll help you out with this, is that it really tries to target us being good people to each other, and that always rubs me the wrong way. And then, of course, my own personal experience with scams, one of the biggest and most notorious, is that when I was applying for college, going through that process, looking for scholarships, I got suckered really hard into a scholarship scam. Had to close my bank account and go through that process. And it's this painful reminder of like, it can happen to anybody and everybody. And I am not exempt from that. It has happened to me.
No, and as a lot of you know, scams have been around for a long time. I mean, it's just a thing. And my grandfather was scammed 30 years ago, quite a bit. He had Alzheimer's. And so he would just get these phone calls for organizations that needed money for this or that, or it was thousands. It was thousands. And once again, that was 30 years ago. That was normal snail mail. That was phone calls. That was all kinds of things where the mental faculties were just gone. And once again, it was good intentions that were being taken advantage of. And even recently, like my dad bought, he found a website that had, with DeWalt tools, 87% off. Everything looked actually pretty legit. Like after he told me like, hey, I bought these things. It's been like a month. Why haven't I gotten them? You know, there's a shipping code. What's going on? I took a look. I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty well built out. And there were about 5 or 8 websites that were all trying to sell refurbished DeWalt tools at steep discounts. And so I worked with the banks. I worked with a couple of vendors to try and get my dad's money back, just because he didn't know better, that it was too good to be true on that. And as we've been in business, I've known people at WSU or just in the community, just in life, that stuff happens. The scams occur. There was one that I heard about where it was kind of an entity that was acting like a bank for a deceased loved one, and saying, "Hey, you know, we were notified of the spousal passing away. We want to try and make sure that we get this account closed out. You know, can you verify that you're the living person, the surviving person of this relationship? And we need your information to verify." And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's someone who's going through deep emotional pain, and you're taking advantage of it and using the other person's name in vain. Like this stuff is brutal. And if we can be a part of the process to help prevent that from occurring further, we want to be a part of that.
Yeah. That said, just up front, to answer a question, if you have been scammed and you're kind of coming here for that, there is a few-step process. This was taken on, it was, I believe, a national news report They hired a professional who deals in fraud prevention, and these were his steps to what to do if you've been scammed. Specifically, if somebody had gotten a hold of your social security number, these are the steps that you need to take. First, you need to file a police report. First thing, my identity has been stolen. Go to the police so there's an active investigation. Additionally, usually the police will do this for you, but make sure you also contact the Office of the Inspector General, so that way you are getting all the resources possible. The next thing you want to do is contact at least one of the big three credit companies. So it's either going to be TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian, and ask them to lock your credit. When somebody steals your social, the primary purpose is that they're going to try and apply for credit cards, max them out, and then you foot the bill, you get nothing, and your credit is demolished. Locking your credit pretty much says that if anybody is applying for anything, these companies have to reach out to you first before they move forward and approve. So it slows it down and makes sure that you see every single bit of activity that's happening. And then finally, you would also want to file an investigation with the Federal Trade Commission. There is a specific part on their website as well, specifically about fraud prevention and identity theft. So, and say if you follow these steps, if anything has happened to you, this is the best way to make sure that you are taken care of and to basically get the authorities on your side and make sure any justice that can happen to be done as quickly as possible.
And that being said, as a clarifier, it may seem like, okay, well, FTC is a big organization. Why would they care about little old me? It helps in the investigations where if they're able to connect additional data points and say, oh no, this is a new scam, or we've seen this pattern before, we can start kind of having a new way to look at it and approach it. It does help in the long run. And so we do encourage reaching out to all these entities. And there are different insurance groups. Sometimes you can get an insurance writer for identity theft prevention. They're usually like $5 a month, and they'll cover any damages, what's stolen, and some of them will even provide cash on hand in case of everything being locked out or stolen. So there are other ways to protect yourself, but do be proactive in these cases.
Now, that said, the rest of this presentation is what we hope to be preventative, but we want it up front. If something has happened, these are action steps to take right away. So this is kind of a big overview of what we're going to walk through. I'm not going to go through every bit and point, but our 5 main topics are going to be what not to share online, some specific examples of common scams that we've seen, some tips and tricks on keeping your computer safe to get functionality, but to be cautious about it, safely evaluating apps and websites, and just some general principles for safe digital navigation. So, to begin, number 1, what not to share online. The first step is, of course, banking information or your social security number. There are very few exceptions. That's going to be official government or banking sources. And even then, you want to use caution. There's a lot of ease of use that has happened, especially with technology and websites lately, but so much so you still have to be a little cautious of like how much information are you generally giving away. The easiest, most common example is applying for a credit card. To do so, they do want you to fill out all that information, your personal information, address, social security card, all of it. And ease of access through an official channel. They're very good at being like very safe, though you also always do due diligence on like what kind of credit card are you getting? What are the perks and benefits? Is this really one that you need? Because on the other hand, credit card applications, as I said earlier, are typically one of the first things a scammer will do once they have your information. They will apply for a credit card. If approved, immediately max it out. They get all these nice things. Your credit is ruined, and now you're in a bunch of debt for something that you never wanted, was never your intention, and you don't even know about. If they're quick, before you even know what's happened. So like that caution of like, if you can keep all of that information to yourself, only unless you absolutely need to and can absolutely verify this is real and this is trusted. Otherwise, that you hold on to that as tight as you can. Another thing, evaluate website forms. Generally, forms on websites should only ask for basic contact info. Exceptions to that tend to be forms for service industry businesses or something specific. moving companies will often have longer forms, specific service like construction, if you're going to do something really specific, if you're doing something state to state, whatever it is, we want to make sure that, okay, what are they actually asking for, and does it make sense relative to what I'm filling out? So if a standard form is asking for a lot of information from you for something like, oh, give us your bank info for a $5,000 prize, they'll never say it like that. But if it's a, why am I giving away a routing number? Am I going to get $5,000? You might want to reconsider. Only give away information that makes sense. Second, keep your information to yourself. A good rule of thumb is don't give away any information unless you absolutely have to. The less of your information that is out there and readily available, the less likely you are to run into these problems. If there isn't a digital footprint of it, it's less likely to cause you any kind of problems in the future. Second, common scams. This is simultaneously horrifying, but also, I think, some of the most fun, is that over the last month or so, we've gone through and kind of evaluated a bunch of phone calls and emails that we've gotten to be able to walk through on that end. So let's explain what a phishing email is. Phishing with a PH is very much like our standard phishing, except that in this context, you are the fish that is attempting to be baited. What will often happen is a phishing scam. You get an email that is impersonating a reputable source. Maybe it's someone you know, an official agency, whatever it is. And what they're trying to do is implement some kind of panic scare tactic and headline with a messaging like, an unconfirmed transaction for $1,000 has been run in your name and you need to press here right now to stop it. It's going to go through today. This is your last warning. Very big, like, I am panicked. I need to click this button or link. And they're going to ask you, just click this. And whatever you do, do not click on the thing they're trying to get you. It is all about this. I'm going to get you overexcited, panicked, and tell you to do one single action. And as soon as you do that, it will be able to give us what we need, leverage to invade your computer.
And the big thing to note is, even though in a day-to-day interaction, some of them are a little more Amazon-based, where it's like, oh, you just bought an Apple Watch. Was that really you? Click here to confirm. Or some other things. And this might not seem like a lot to a few individuals, but when we're looking at fixed income and that not necessarily living month to month, but fixed income, this is what I have. Oh my gosh, if $1,000 has been pulled from my account and has been unauthorized, or there's something that needs to be fixed, that creates a lot of panic and urgency. They are keenly aware of the mindsets of the individual and are trying to really think psychologically, how can I impact this individual?
So that said, a few questions to ask when identifying these individuals, of course, is to stop, breathe before you do anything and think, who is it from? Often you can literally click on where the email itself is and see, wait a minute, that's not right. And we have a few examples of that to show. And then the second, of course, is the offer too good to be true, or does what is happening right now make sense? So a few that we found and collected. This has been some that we found for clients and things. Is, hello, your page has been reported for violating our terms of use. This is from Facebook, in quotes. Your page appears to contain copyrighted material owned by a third party. This is also one that we will get quite a bit. And it is, if you believe your page has been reported by mistake, you may appeal. Click the link below. Continue. If we do not receive an appeal in 24 hours, this will cause your account to be disabled. Thank you, Facebook team. Generic, I guess it's from Facebook, and horrifying because what did I do? What did I do wrong? You go to panic, you start looking, what did I do wrong? But normally if you evaluate, there's a few things. Number one, Meta form appeal at outlook.com. It should be from an official at facebook.com first and foremost. Second, there's no logo, there's no contact, there's no representative. a large corporation of that scale would have a way to directly contact outside of just generic link that is pretty ugly and bare bones. This one for me, I would say would be an easy tier of, well, hold on a second. Does this make sense? Maybe I'll ask somebody else. And I got a few of these where somebody did ask and it's like, no, don't touch that, which is awesome. Secondly, this is one that I got recently that almost got me. It's to my name. You missed a call from this number this day, and it was trying to impersonate a voicemail. Hello, this is Kristen Robert. When you get a chance, can you give me a call back? Just trying to figure out what we need to do to get not even a completed. He received a message from whatever the number is, which is an unfamiliar number in our area, but doesn't happen. Maybe click on it. But right here, what's supposed to be an audio transcription is a file, and it is a code file. If we were to click on that, odds are that it would either be some kind of virus or malicious entity that is sitting right there waiting. And all I was trying to do was check this voicemail that doesn't make any sense. Another thing we found is that they tried to be clever. They labeled themselves Pullman Marketing Phone System, but it's no reply at swiftevents.com. I don't know what that is. I can confirm that it's not our phone system. So thinking about it for a second, maybe I shouldn't click on that. Next one, this one was really clever. And the first one I got, they were able to spoof my own email. So it looks like I sent it to myself. And again, check this voicemail. The only reason that I didn't click on this one, that they made their symbols look like an actual voice message to click on, was that we could not verify the identity of the sender. What do you mean? It's from myself, but I didn't send that to me. This doesn't make any sense. Stop. Look a little further. A WAV file, which is an audio file, .html. It's actually code trying to get me to click on it, to download, to inject malicious code onto my computer, to probably destroy it.
I know it sounds weird that they can spoof your email address, but there are ways to actually very easily say, hey, this is from Preston at PullmanMarketing.com or from TrustedOrganization.com. When it says we cannot verify the identity of the sender, that means that the spoofer was not able to fake the server identification. And that's going to be what traps them in terms of should typically go to spam or should typically have that notification. A lot of times they cannot spoof that or fake that server verification. So if you do see that message, like that should be your right away key indicator.
Yep. So here are a few that I've received in mobile email form that are really funny. One of these is for a crypto wallet from an official cryptocurrency wallet team. Here you see in the headline, it says MetaMask team. These are foreign characters in an attempt to make it look like the real thing. It's hard to see, but there are little additional diacritics that exist. That's like, that's not right. The other thing that's really big is that I've understood this, but a lot of people don't. This email should never happen because this organization should never have it, and I should never have even received an email like this. If I were to look at it, this is not how that thing works. It looks very official, but wait a minute, that's not correct. Okay, I'm going to ignore this. Another one, of course, I love product ones. This is one of my favorite. Waterproof Tesla-inspired electric lighter, AZI, was sent out as a spam list to everyone named Preston. I think they just found as many as they could and just did an automatic bot. Like, okay, this is real. And it talks about the magic of a Tesla-inspired lighter and Nikola Tesla, the gift that keeps on giving. Man, this is a magic revolutionary battery-powered lighter. And if you click here, you can get one. And there's no way that is going to be good news, promising things that are way too good to be true. But also it's in a nice camo skin too, because it's good. And then this is one that I received yesterday. This one was one that almost got me. And I thought it was really important. I wanted to specifically break this one down because it was an email from PayPal. Invoice updated. Okay, you owe this from PayPal. using the official branding, everything. Like it is almost an exact spoof. One of the biggest things here up top is that this was the desktop version. On mobile, that's upright. That makes it look like the rest of this picture was copy and pasted. Otherwise, it's looking, oh, this is from the organization Coinbase. They have just billed you for $619 that's due. You need to view and pay this invoice. Somebody sent you a bill. Hold on, that's not right. Then it's a seller note to the customer. Thank you for choosing PayPal. You've sent this payment to Coinbase Corporation for Bitcoin, which is not how that works. If you don't make this transaction, please contact PayPal at whatever this number. If this is not the case, you will be charged $619 today. Horrifying. Transaction will reflect on PayPal activity after 24 hours. That's scary. I don't have a PayPal account. I have never used PayPal in my life. This shouldn't even be happening. Ironically, they actually gave themselves away in the rest of this email. First, don't know this seller. You can safely ignore this if you're not buying anything from this seller. PayPal won't ask or call you or send text numbers with this invoice. Okay, great. That's weird. It says I have to pay it, but they say I can ignore it. Great. Then towards the very end, PayPal is committed to preventing fraudulent emails. Emails from PayPal will always contain your full name. Learn to identify phishing. They gave us the clues at the bottom of the email that this was a bad email. Otherwise, everything looked incredibly legitimate. I had to think twice. This took me about an hour of going back and forth, checking my bank, checking all of these individuals. Wait, I'm pretty sure I've never used PayPal in my life. I have to go back and check. And part of it is if I had not been in this stuff and like researching this for the last month, I might have fallen for this one. But they gave themselves an Achilles heel though, because nowhere in this is my full name. Anyway, moving on to robocalls. We love them. Those automated calls that will try to bait you into a conversation, see if you're a lead, and attempt to contact you with a live representative who will work to get as much information as they possibly can out of you at any given moment. I have heard all kinds of these, anything from Medicare representatives, IRS agents, Amazon workers, or anything that promises some kind of benefit or compensation that should otherwise be offered to you through an official channel if real, or be a free service with a fee. One we get an awful lot. I said Medicare. We get that one just about every day. And there you are really easily able to throw these off if you ask any questions. Often it will lead to, how are you today? I've broken the robot by saying, I'm doing bad today. Like that's all it takes. It gets weird and it hangs up. Other things like, according to our records, well, the next logical thing to ask is, what records do you have of me? How did you get my records? You are free to know that information if they do. So you are very free and encouraged to ask, what's going on? Okay, can you tell me more? If they can't, it's a robot. I accidentally got to a live representative yesterday. A lot happened yesterday. With this call, after asking the robot, where's my live records? And that was the first thing I asked. Hello, how can we help you today? Hello, yes, as a Medicare representative, what records do you have of me? And the guy panicked and hung up. You can break these, ask questions that make sense. If you feel like, okay, and just even asking why or what is this, you can often pretty much make the scam fall apart instantly. If you go off script, you break it. Now, right along with that, the second part of these, the live phone impersonation scams. These are the calls that will take the form of an official channel offering to help you with something, could otherwise be free. Again, the Medicare one, very common, that you may be eligible to be represented by a third party. The point of these, and a lot of them, they use high energy, specific language, and they're trying to drive you to make quick decisions, not give you time to think about what's going on. We need to do this now. Hey, this is a limited time offer. We have to go. We have to go. We have to go. Because if you were to step back, if you were to have that second to think, does this make sense? You know it's a scam, and they cannot let you think for that long. Mm-hmm. So if you slow down, hold on, hey, can I ask you a few questions? and ask questions. And if they can't answer, especially if it's a banker, bankers are more than happy to answer all of your questions. They should have a big brochure right next to them that's able to tell, okay, I know this, what kind of account, this. If they can't answer those basic questions, it's a scam. Get off the phone. Thank you. Have a nice day. End that engagement. And of course, the biggest red flag is if they ask for any of your personal information, because, and I will scream this to the rooftops, if you watch the other video of this, I kind of do, never under any circumstances ever give your banking information or social security number away over the phone. That is not even through an official channel. Like there's always a form that is protected if you're going to do that, or you fill out a form and you mail it, or you go down to whatever office it is and you fill it out yourself in a safe environment. The phone is the least safe way to give that information away. I don't know that there is actually a fully safe, legitimate way to give any of that information away over a phone call.
Yeah, well, there are some 2FAs that can occur. And the hard part is, like, your banks may call you a part of fraud prevention of like, hey, did you actually pay $400 for dinner last night? And you're like, well, yeah, I paid for my extended family to come and we went to the restaurant. It was a big bill. And your bank will call you and say, hey, we just want to make sure that this was the right transaction. Can I verify that you're who you say you are? It's okay to push back. Even if it's the right bank on the right account doing their job and just doing their best to help you, it's okay to say, hey, actually, I'm worried about fraud on these things. Is there a way that I can verify that you are from the bank? Or is it okay if I just go to my branch? And they'll say, absolutely, go. If your branch is nearby, go to it. They're more than happy for you to go to the branch. The moment they say, oh, no, you have to do it on the phone with me, that's your trigger. That's the point where this is not okay.
Yeah.
And that's for your normal, everyday fraud prevention calls. We rerun a lot of transactions. I get them. My parents were horrified when they heard me on the phone one day. Do a pushback. They're like, well, it's the bank. Just answer. I'm like, no, I know 90% chance it is the bank, but I'm going to push back and just double check. And that's okay. They're used to it and they want you to. They want to keep you safe too, if it's the right organization.
Yep. So we will emphasize to the moon and back about that level of caution, because that is the thing where we have to go to the beginning of the presentation and do the fraud prevent. We don't want that. So anyway, moving on to our next stuff. It's heavy, but it's so important. So let's keep your computer secure. And we'll go through a few basic principles. Number one, passwords. Hackers, data thieves have gotten increasingly clever over the years, to the point that using the same password pretty much anywhere more than once, of a slight variation of our tried and true, I love cats 1, 2, 3, now puts you at really great risk. You need a powerful password that's built to keep your account safe. And these are going to be a mixture of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, 12 to 20 characters long, which is a lot. It's incredibly tricky to manage. It can be cumbersome trying to remember something that specific. If you write it down, you lose it. Like, there's so much that can happen, but that's also a safety standard. That said, we do recommend doing something like a password management system with that. Services like 1Password that allow you to have one username, one password, and a secret key. That's all you need to log into a database. Secret key being that additional layer of security. Even if somebody takes your password, they should never have access to that key, where you can keep all of those passwords, generate new ones, store them, secure them, and then you are able to track them instead of having to write them down one by one. So that way you only need to know one instead of juggling hundreds. It's a thing we recommend of good hygiene of make sure that you're diversifying your passwords, have them all under one roof in something like 1Password. But that way it's just you're not running into that risk of, oh no, somebody got my RuneScape account password for 20 years ago, but I've been using the same password and now my bank is at risk. Yeah. And then, of course, if anything like that happens, making sure you're changing your passwords semi-frequently, just in case.
And even with that, I know passwords can get a little bit on the long side, or they look like a jumbled mess, like someone just kind of hit the keyboard. There are ways to make it phrasal of like, Rosalia branch 195 off of the highway, ! That's a great password. Right. And they're able to make them off of songs or phrases or a list of words that are easy to type. It might make it a little bit long, but it is actually increasingly difficult to work with. As long as there's a few words, some numbers, and at least a special character.
Yeah. So on that, we also talk about browser extensions. So those are things you can install. I provided mine, just little things right next to your search bar in your browser, which are great tools and help bring extended functionality to your web browsing experience, capable of all kinds of things. Often they're companion to larger apps and services to help supplement. We just said 1Password. That's probably the main one that we use, is that it's not only do you have that management, you can also have your password vault on there, so it's always available. You can get to it. You just log in and your passwords are there. Makes it easier. You have other ones like Honey and other deal apps that, if you're on a website, is there a coupon? Let's use that. They're really nice. And they provide a lot of, they help your web experience go a little further. But you do have to be careful because you want to make sure you're downloading the right extension. There has been scamming caught basically impersonating popular extensions with slight tweaks or adjustments that basically you download a virus or you download something that will give people leverage over you. There was recently a really big crackdown in 2020 where Google was able to get rid of a bunch, but it was 40,000, which meant that before that point, there were 40,000 extensions that were impersonating and scams of other ones. One of the easiest ways to basically avoid this kind of fraud is that if you're interested in an extension or you've been told about it, go through the official website. Through 1Password, they will guide you. Go here to download this browser extension. It'll take you right to the page. Most of them do. Okay, try this out. Here's the page to go, so you don't even have to think about whether this is right. Because if they lead you to the wrong page and it then becomes the fault of that organization, there's legal precedent. If anything happens, you're kind of safer there. But usually an official channel will guide you in the right direction. If anything looks suspicious, either try and find that official source or get a second opinion before proceeding with a download. Hey, there's a big red button on my screen. That probably doesn't seem right, but it looks like the right thing. Maybe not. Think about it, sleep on it, see what happens. Browser settings. Another thing that's important to have is that all of your internet browsers, whether it's Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Safari, Firefox, have a bunch of settings that help build a browser experience set to your preferences. At the most basic level, you have the ability to do things like save your favorite websites, clear your browsing history. A little deeper than that, you find some really good safety features that allow you to track settings, password management, how you interact with potentially unsafe websites. One of our favorite features is to be able to go in and basically have your web browser block websites that might be unsafe. Even if it's a little bit of a risk, it'll say, "Are you sure?" before it actually takes you there. So that way, if you're landing into a virus or something that is a problem, you have a wall that you have to manually bypass, giving you plenty of time to think about, do I actually want to go here, or is this unsafe? And they're so dramatic. It's big red text. There's the caution symbol, everything. I think all browsers have pretty much adapted that same, this is scary. Think twice about this. And it's just a nice feature. A lot of that is also done automatically at this point, but you have the ability to be even filter by, okay, is there loose, explicit content? Don't show it to me. Is there even things with are the security not quite up to par? Don't show it to me. So go through. I always encourage you on a new tool or browsers, find your settings, explore them. There's so much you can find, but especially in safety and privacy, there's some really powerful tools there. Another thing, of course, the standard is be careful what you download. Like extensions, you need to be careful about what you're downloading and where it's coming from. A few red flags, of course, are free things that shouldn't be free. If it's a free movie, it's free music, free TV shows, software suites, whatever it is, that sounds unrealistic. Oh no, this set of $120 DVDs you're going to get for free right now? Maybe not. download screens that trick you into clicking something that isn't the download button, or what you're supposed to do isn't entirely clear, which is the picture I had is of a Reddit thread of people talking about this being a key fake download that's really an ad that if you click on it, you go to a malicious website. It's a common scam of we're going to put the download ad right next to the download button, and you need to be careful. And of course, forms are pop-ups that ask you for anything more than your basic contact information, especially in a place where there doesn't need to be a form or a pop-up in the first place. Of course, after you download something, before opening a file, make sure it looks like what you're supposed to download. If you were supposed to download the greatest PDF of a list of 2022's top 5 recipes of all time, which we love, but you get something that looks like an application, it's a zip file, or it's something that makes you question what you really did, a string of lines and characters instead of a nice titled book, delete the file, empty your recycling bin, use some kind of antivirus scan, like get rid of it immediately. If it doesn't seem right, it might not be. Before you open it or interact with it, you can just get rid of it. Which leads us to viruses and antiviruses. I know you know a big deal if you want to walk through this guy.
Viruses have changed a lot over the years. The days of old when we look at, there's a virus or a worm that's going through networks. I remember growing up hearing about those stories of different organizations. And even when I worked at WSU, there were a couple that as I worked IT, I had people come in, pick up a computer and walk away with it. And I had to verify, okay, well, are you stealing this or are you actually with the IT security? Oh, you are IT security working with the government. Great, take the computer. We don't see that hardly at all anymore. Now, hackers and people who are being malicious want control of your computer to be able to track and watch what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And instead of having to purchase a bunch of different antivirus software suites, Microsoft has taken the lead and just saying, this is the bar. All antivirus, this is your baseline. And if you want to go further and maybe you have some other optimizations, go for it. But they've really kind of set the minimum bar, and that bar actually works pretty well. They call it Microsoft Defender software system. You can still use Avast, AVG, or Sophos. I know University of Idaho, I believe, is still on Sophos. These are good softwares. They are going to be great for your day-to-day needs. If you do feel that you need something more, these are great, and they're mostly free. Especially Sophos has their, for home residential use, it's pretty good. I have no qualms with it. If you go to the next slide, because you have the keyboard. The big thing that we're now worried about is malware, spyware, and rootkits. And malware is typically trying to act like a virus in a way that it wants to take control. And there's a lot of different ways that they can work and operate. One of the more recent ones that we've seen is they will try to install some software to actually do crypto mining off of your computer. Because, I mean, I only have one graphics card, but if I had access to tens of thousands of people's graphics cards to do crypto mining for me, I might as well install it to everybody. And then that's a way that they can generate money. It goes under the radar. You won't notice it. And they're pretty sophisticated. Spyware is more about watching what you're doing. And that's why they call it spyware. And so these can take the form of a keylogger where it just watches all your keystrokes so that they can try and pick up your usernames and passwords very easily. Because if you type in office.com, you typed in your email address, you typed in your password, they can now try and gain access through that. There's enough contextual information for them just off the bat to move forward. And then rootkits, those are a really fascinating one. They do try to embed themselves in legitimate software and then take advantage of your computer for malicious purposes.
Some of these literally will take over your computer, almost like a remote tech support, except in the hands of crazy people. Yeah. And be careful what you're downloading, again, because we want to avoid these pretty much always. Again, Microsoft Defender will only do so much, but you making sure that we're thinking through what we're downloading helps that much more. So on to our next section, safely evaluating websites and applications. First thing, at a general ask, is this website trustworthy? There are over 1.1 billion websites currently active in the world. It's billion. With a staggering number like that, there are undoubtedly some rotten actors out there plotting plots and scheming schemes, not our favorite. So how can you tell whether a site is good or not? First thing that we start with is an SSL certificate. An SSL certificate is the little lock that appears in your search bar when you visit a site. If that lock isn't locked, it may not be safe, and it's better to spend your time elsewhere. Not having an SSL certificate is not an inherent sign of malice or bad behavior. It's more similar to website hosting in that they do expire. So if somebody forgot to renew, whatever it is, it's possible that goes down. But it gives a red flag to browsers of your connection is not safe. You may get a warning. Google may give a red flag on their search page of this SSL certificate is not active. This website might not be safe. So if they think it's dangerous, it may be a similar thing. You get the scary screen of, hey, don't go here. So think twice. And it's a double edge of, if you have a website, make sure your SSL is updated. But not inherently bad, but also it could be. The next thing that we want to evaluate is, what is the call to action of the website? Figure out what the website wants you to do, who's asking, and whether or not what they're asking you to do is a good idea. Your browser will typically be there to warn you if there are explicit issues, but overall you do need to be careful and aware of where you're going, what you're doing, and what information you're giving away. Is it a $5,000 cruise if you just give me your name and your routing number? Why? I can't. I went to a library site and they're asking me for a cruise. Maybe this isn't the library. Maybe I need to get out of here.
The library I want to go to.
And I should get free cruise to the library. I'd love it. Another thing is it from an official source? The biggest one is people claiming to be from or affiliated with Amazon. Is there any way to prove that? If they're from a government agency, they should easily be able to identify themselves. If they're from a bank, you should be able to transition any conversation back to your local branch. If you cannot verify the current activity through an official source, odds are pretty good that it's a scam. Whether it's email, web interface, or phone call, or a transition of the three. That's a big one that I'm continually going to harp on. If you can't verify, it might be a scam. How are the reviews? Another thing to look through. This is apps more so, but some web services. Are the reviews on the thing consistently 1 star and talking about it being a scam? Sometimes it is that easy. It's a scam, don't go. It's a scam, don't go. Okay. Do the reviews look like they're purchased? This is on the other end. Is it a consistent 5-star thing that's going on, but it's broken English, or the reviews have no relevance to what the thing is, or there's just 5-star and there's no content? On the other hand, to identify, are there any legitimately good reviews that are able to be and identify specific happenings and occurrences? Oh, I loved the service. We walked through this. I was here. I talked to this person. I had a great time. I called support. This person is there. Like, there's all these things that you can do to kind of evaluate. It's a really funny thing. We put 4 out of 5 stars there. Generally, a thing with 4 out of 5 stars is pretty safe. Yeah. So there's some people were unhappy. Most people are pretty good. Reviews probably aren't bought. It's really funny, but it's the not perfect reviews, the threshold. It's a philosophy, a conversation for another time. But
I wouldn't mind hitting it for just a moment.
Yeah.
Though, because Amazon has had a weird effect on our review systems, because a lot of them are 1 out of 5 stars, but hardly anyone trusts a 1 star because, oh my gosh, that was probably user error. And like, even if you read like that tirade, there's probably clues of like, oh, you were putting together that thing wrong. But on the flip side, if every single review is like a 5-star and it's just a rating,
you paid for that.
You probably paid for it. And there are vendors on Amazon that do pay for reviews, or they give away products free in return for a review, which is against Amazon policies. They do try to cull that out of their system. But do be aware. That being said, the Better Business Bureau I wouldn't say is the most trustworthy site anymore for these types of reviews, just because they've kind of gotten lax over the years. And so trustpilot.com or a few others may be able to help you identify if this is real or not.
Another thing too, especially on apps, mobile apps or things of that nature, if you can access it through the official source, more often if there's a website that promotes this app, whether it's a game, a productivity app, whatever it is, there's more than likely a site with a landing page that says, visit our official Google Play page or Apple App Store page, that takes you right there, that maybe you don't have to worry about it. Oh, this is the official one. And then if they have 1-star reviews, you reconsider for different reasons. That's, of course, the final point is it what it says it is? If you're evaluating an offer and you were to go one step further, is the offer in question still the same? If you're being offered a free ebook and then you get asked for payment information, is the offer still free? If you look in the descriptions and read the fine print, is it consistent with the offer? I'd go back to my PayPal email of I read the fine print. Wait a minute, the fine print in this email is telling me this email is fake. Okay, this is fake. And evaluating. And that's a good rule of thumb. You're just always looking, asking questions. Does this make sense? And finally, we'll go back into principles for safe digital navigation. The first one is the same thing. Is the thing what it says it is? It's so important to me. It's like, if you were to look at it and like, this isn't right, okay, make sure you can confirm that you are not immediately walking into a trap. Next, can I verify outside of this? Can you verify an activity through an official source? So important. Banking, government. I'm going to reiterate this to the point because it's so important. You should be able to verify something through either of these sources regarding money or your official government documents. You can do it through them. From the outside looking in, does this make sense? To call in the spirit of classic scams, does it make any sense for a Nigerian prince to be reaching out to you in order to give you a large sum of money? If someone else were to tell you about the conversation or email or experience that you are having, and you are the outside party, would you tell them to think twice? A little bit of that inspection of from the outside looking in. If I were my roommate, if I were my spouse, to walk in and we were to talk about this, and I'm the objector, wait, does this make sense? What are we doing? Is everything okay? And often that is pretty much enough. I wouldn't trust this. Why am I trusting this right now? I normally wouldn't.
And a funny thing on the Nigerian prince scam, and was again, does this make sense? They actually ran a new scam saying, if you ever receive the Nigerian prince scam, email us back with your information so that we can add you to the class action lawsuit for those impacted by the Nigerian scam. But it's one of those things of like, you can't actually participate in a class action lawsuit unless there was damage or true impact. But the scam was, if you even received an email, you may be entitled to money. And that was a very enticing offer. But once again, how do class action lawsuits? I thought they only worked for X, Y, and Z case scenarios.
That's not a law firm.
That too. So even then, they are getting smarter. They are getting more intelligent as the years go by. So even just asking, does this make sense? There's still some catches. There's still some clauses that we can work through.
That's true. Which leads to the next thing. What is the thing trying to get me to do? Typically, things like giveaways are meant to be promotions in exchange for contact information, like emails, in order to market to you. That's fine. We see a lot of that. We are a marketing agency. We do that. That is perfectly fine, and it's consensual. You're signing up for this. We have to be very explicit in order for you to receive such emails. However, if the goal is to get you to do anything beyond that and includes the trading of personal identifiers or financial information, that is not fine. That's a big clue of this seems like an awful lot of information. It is. And of course, does the scenario look and feel legitimate? As the saying tends to go, if something seems too good to be true, it is. Will you make $1 million in a day if you let me invest a bunch of money on your behalf? Probably not. If you give me your credit card information, will you get a free cruise to the Bahamas? Probably not. If the situation doesn't look and feel legitimate, it probably isn't. And even if it is legitimate, if you've created a scenario in which the other person does not feel it is legitimate, the onus is on you to make sure your thing looks legitimate and that you're doing a good job. Because you should always be like, if this feels sketchy, you're uncertain, or it ever brings you amount of confusion or thinking twice, listen to that, step back, and make sure before you move forward. And with that, that is the end of the core presentation.
Yes. But that being said, we do want to open up the room to any questions, comments, feedback, anything that you might have seen or have questions on, or cases that you run into.
Yeah.
Feel free to unmute your microphone. We're happy to spend some time with you to just talk through stuff.
Yeah, happy to. I'm a big Reply All fan. It's a great podcast, really good audio journalism, but they have these two really, really good pieces. And I dropped it in there because, I'm very much of the mind that knowledge is power. And it's the more you understand how these scams work and what they're trying to get from you and how they're trying to get you to give them information, like the more you know about that, the easier it is to feel a little bit more in control. Because as Adam was saying, so much of it is just they're trying to manipulate your emotions to making a rash decision. So yeah, those are both really good. The robocall episode in the chat, they just go really deep down the well of how robocalls work in our country. The long distance episode, I highly recommend. It's a fun one where one of the hosts gets a call, like an actual call from a person that's clearly a scam, and he does what I think we all want to do, which is just start talking with the person and like calling them back. And long story short, they end up going to India to investigate the call center and understanding how that works. So it's long, it's great. And there's also a follow-up piece that even expands upon the craziness and the chicanery of that whole market. But they're really good. And again, it's scary stuff, but just keep in mind that, like Adam and Preston are saying, like all these people are trying to do is to get you worried and get you to make a bad decision. I was going to jump in before this too. I was just trying to think about the common scams I see in my email. I think the most common one I'm getting these days is the deliveries, the UPS, postal services, like your package hasn't been delivered or something has happened, click this link. Although I will say I get a ton of text scams on my phone as well. That's what I'm seeing much less email these days and multiple texts a week.
Yeah. No, we're seeing those quite a bit too. And even then, you can take a look at where's this number coming from. Yeah. And even saying, okay, well, it's Walmart. I have Walmart Plus. It's wonderful. I go to the app and then I click the tracking numbers. It's cool if they say, oh, hey, it's coming or it's been delayed. I kind of don't trust it inherently. I just go straight to the app on my phone to just verify that.
Yeah, I'd say even more. I think every single political text campaign that happens over the last quarter, I didn't open a single one. It's like, but how do I know? I signed up for 0 of these, so how do I really know? And then I've noticed a few in talking to people of text scams specifically that are kind of outright more explicit. Mm-hmm. That one's been really concerning. So it's like, if you don't even feel comfortable enough opening it, don't. Yeah. If it's gross, don't. Ignore it, delete it, get out of there.
Yeah. And specifically for text messages, there is legislation coming down the line to help alleviate some of that. They're doing a lot more advertiser verification systems and protocols, which is hoops that we get to jump through, which we're happy to do as advertisers. It's because it legitimizes what we do, right? You don't want someone just hopping on and texting hundreds of people. And so over the next couple of years, we will probably see a little bit more litigation to push and kind of get rid of some of this stuff. There should be there's the do not call list. There will be a do not text list.
Yep.
That will be coming down the line, and once again be able to push for litigation.
Yeah, quite a few of my examples revolved around cryptocurrency. That one's really hot right now. There's a lot of litigation that is happening on that this year. And I think also in the next few years, we should see that plummet pretty significantly.
Yeah.
Just because, as soon as there are legal consequences, people are going to move on to whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So I noticed like my scam went up once when I started to do Facebook ads. So like with the Facebook ads, all of a sudden I started to get more of the scams from the meta business people saying like, oh, your ad is going to be disabled and so on and so forth. So yeah, so it's good to point out, like, look for the email for that. And then I don't know, because like I am one of those that is trying to like give a freebie, like, and get the contact person's name to get, and then send out the freebie to them. And then I don't know, I've been starting to get text scams too, to say, hi, this is Alan, or they'll say like, hi, Grace Lou Riddick, or something like that. But the thing is, I don't use my married name for anything other than like for like only family members know. So like if I see anybody say Lou Riddick or anything like that, I know there's something up, because I don't ever share my married name. Because for my business, I just keep it like just with my maiden name. So that kind of lets me know like, hey, you don't really know me, because if you did, you would know that I don't go by this way.
Absolutely.
So, but this has been really helpful. So my question to you guys is, do you usually do like these webinars, like have these webinars monthly, or like that you share some information?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So with the Digital Navigator program, we will be doing monthly webinars. We also are going to be visiting the local libraries to doing in-person workshops as well, to help users digitally navigate through different topics. I believe next month we will be talking about security, but in more relation to kids and how to navigate some of those security systems, parental controls, additional things. And so we will be doing monthly webinars through July, though.
But for this series, this is the first one.
And so how do people know, like, if it wasn't for Preston sending me the link, I wouldn't even have known about this webinar, which has been so useful. So how would we be able to know about like what webinars are coming up that might be useful for us to like attend?
Yeah, so that would be a question for Cody. If we can get a newsletter link set up on the digital navigation page. And then Grace, if we have your explicit permission to add you to that mailing list so that we can alert you for all future webinars.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, Grace, a lot of this is routed through the Whitman County Library. So we have a website with a specific digital navigation page you can go to. So everything planned will be there. We are, in fact, in the process now of kind of updating that page with the outlines of the upcoming webinars and stuff. But I will also say that anything that we do, other than the in-person ones, I can't remember, Adam, if we're recording those, but okay, yeah. So basically every program thing we're doing will be recorded. So even if you can't make it, you can watch it later, and then obviously we want to revisit it. But no, the library is the best place to find that. Our Facebook page has everything that's up to date. The branches, any branch of ours you can go into, the branch manager can help you. You can sign up for our newsletter and everything will be in there. But then we will be doing a lot more kind of traditional, we'll do some ads in the papers, we'll do some mailings, like stuff like that will be coming out as well. But just for ease, I would say the library's Facebook page is the best one, and that web page on our website.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
thank you all so much for spending your time with us today.
Absolutely.
This is such a privilege to be a part of the community and to be able to speak with each of you today. Like Cody was saying, this will be posted onto their YouTube and to the Facebook channel here soon. So stay tuned, and thank you so much.